I work in risk reduction, which is not sexy, and I explain that it's the unsexy part of disaster management. It's not going in with water bottles and bags of rice when a disaster happens, which of course is incredibly important. But it's looking at the times now, looking around, working with communities, trying to understand what will make them unsafe in the next disaster.
In September 2009, a massive earthquake struck the city of Padang in Indonesia. Rebuilding work continues. So too does the work of AusAid specialists Anita Dwyer and Jason Brown, preparing communities to better withstand the impact of any future seismic instability.
So what we have out here is that famous tectonic plate boundary that caused the Indian Ocean tsunami that we know from up in Aceh.
Yep.
Stretches all the way down, and what we have is the potential for a massive earthquake that would just cause this ocean to come right up.
They've been doing some funky stuff out there. They've been dissecting coral, and by this sort of method and doing some carbon dating, they're looking at around about a 200-year cycle.
Okay.
So they're saying that that 200 years is about up, give or take. And so when they say give or take, you know, yeah, within a generation we could see a very large earthquake out there, possibly tsunamigenic, so possibly a large tsunami hitting the coast here.
I adore working with Jason. He's passionate about community development and especially disaster reduction.
Yeah, the time of the earthquake was really strong. His house badly cracked and some walls fell down.
He's lived in Indonesia for 10 years and studied Indonesian studies at ANU, and spent quite a bit of time here working with many communities all over Indonesia.
Jason Brown and Anita Dwyer are both involved in disaster preparation programs so that lives and homes can be saved in the future.
Dan ini pakai angker juga ya?
Iya, pakai ini.
So you have a deeper foundations, and they're anchoring the bottom structure gets anchored down into the foundations.
So it's so important to actually tie it to the ground into these
That's right.
foundations here, and that wasn't done beforehand. Build Back Better, it's a term actually that Bill Clinton made famous after the tsunami, which was saying we cannot rebuild these communities to the same way they were before. We need to make them stronger. The Padang earthquake killed over 1,000 people because buildings fell on their head, and buildings that didn't need to necessarily fall down. Yeah, some major cracks throughout the rooms here.
They would have put anchors in where necessary as well.
To hook onto these walls.
Yeah. So again, when you get a shake, you've not got a great long wall moving, yeah? You've got smaller walls that are supported by supporting beams, yeah? So this is a retrofit that can be done. I mean, we did this with exactly the $2,000 that householders receive. One of the things the government's doing here is they're looking at these vertical evacuation structures. So you're looking at about 4 to 5 floors. You probably could get, you know, a couple of thousand people squeezed up there.
So the information we've learned since the Indian Ocean tsunami is to build back better. So we have a structure over here that's more earthquake resilient than it ever has before, but also to give it another purpose as an evacuation tower. 9 times out of 10, the community will use it as a marketplace whereby they can come and meet. And I think this is the important thing about disaster risk reduction in community development.
I mean, there's examples of schools here have been built with vertical evacuation platforms on top. I think the government wants to look at any new government buildings, where can they integrate this?
Jason, this area here was affected by the Padang earthquake?
Yeah, it's Chinatown actually.
A plan that involves moving people safely to higher ground in the event of a disaster is vital. But with a river separating the city from the mountains, evacuation is not that straightforward.
There's been evacuation routes identified. They're now identifying new, and will open up new routes that go back east into the mountains here. This community behind us though need to look at this area, and you've got this one bridge that gets them there.
In another part of town, this mural serves as both a reminder and teaching aid for the evacuation plan.
Okay, so this is one of many murals that you have done around Padang.
Around West Sumatra, actually.
Around West Sumatra, to educate communities about earthquake and tsunami.
Disaster preparedness also.
Disaster preparedness. So it's about getting the community involved and raising awareness at the same time.
Right.
And creating something that's a bit fun.
Community support is important if the work is to succeed. And engaging with Islamic organisations is a major role for Anita Dwyer.
Maaf sekali, Bapak. Saya belajar bahasa Indonesia saya, tapi collectively you've probably got a membership of about 80 million people. It's interesting, Muhammadiyah and Nahdlatul Ulama they don't work with the community, they are the community. So to ensure that good messages around risk reduction as well as health and education, it's important for us as the Australian Aid Program to work with both organisations. When you're passionate about disasters, working in the most disaster-prone country in the world and a country that is so willing to work with me has been fantastic.